Well, when my son Elijah was 5, I entered my first programming course and made a video game just for him. The game was clunky, and the actual code was something like a rat's nest. But to me, it was special. I called it Elijah's Bedtime Rebellion. It was like Space Invaders, except the enemies were beds that threw out pillows, and the power-ups were chocolate, Cheez-Its, and bacon. This was a proud moment for me. Why? Well, a few years before this, I found myself homeless and utterly alone. Everything I had fit into one green duffel bag. The idea that I was incapable of being a father to my son and that he may never know how much I loved him crushed me. I believed that this was it, that I was doomed. Well, fortunately for me, this was not the end as I perceived it to be. Case managers at homeless youth shelters helped me find a way out of my own nightmare. They believed in and loved me when I could not. They helped me develop the foundations for a new way of living, and in particular, they challenged me to go to school. Now, I gotta be honest with you, I really didn't want to go to school. See, in my mind, school was for other people, not me. But I was willing to do almost anything that my new support team asked me to do. And so with some hesitation, I finished high school and I signed up for courses at Seattle Central Community College. Yeah. You know, initially I just wanted to explore ideas like, is this book a book or a portal to another world? You know, be reflective. So I signed up for Philosophy 106, Introduction to Logic. Well, if you don't know, logic has nothing to do with exploring thought in the way that I imagined. It was more like math with letters. Things like, if A, then B. And the students, they all look like lawyers. They all look like the type of people who spend their time at coffee shops discussing the finer things in life while dipping biscottis into milk, or whatever you do with biscottis. Needless to say, I felt like I didn't belong. But to my surprise, I earned a 3.3 GPA that quarter. Now, as I began to work my way out of homelessness and addiction, I began to practice some principles in my school life. Things like, if you do what the teacher asks you to do, then you'll probably fare better in class. Imagine that. This allowed me to do good in general, but as time went by, I discovered that I love math. Now, at first, I loved math because 2 + 2 = 4, no matter what anyone thought of me. It was a safe bet. But as time went by, it became a source of reprieve when I was fearful. You know, when working on a math problem, I didn't have to think about identity, religion, or any of that. Instead, through math, I got to explore a world that I never knew existed. Well, eventually, teachers began to suggest that I pursue mathematics as a career. But the idea of me being a mathematician seemed a little far-fetched. I mean, I was living on the streets. My peers were pursuing things like physics, computer science, and engineering. They were all going to get good jobs and have good careers. But would I be left in the dust as a mathematics student? So I had to ask myself this many times: what is more important to me, pursuing money or pursuing what I love? I'm under the conviction that pursuing what I love should always come first. As time went by, I began to see myself as a student, and I started to do things that students do, like apply for scholarships. I remember being selected as a Washington State Opportunity Scholar. It really made me feel like I belonged. It was a source of validation. Now, during this time, I did other things like help start a Mesa chapter at Seattle Central. All you Mesa folks, it's a great program. But at Seattle Central, everybody knew me. I was the math guy. My point is during this time, I did many positive things, but perhaps the most important thing that I did was I did what I needed to get custody of my son. I remember my first week as a single parent. He was 4. It was winter break. Christmas was here. I had my tacky little tree up, and I did everything I could to make it special for him. See, although I didn't have much, in my mind, everything I had was gold. In time, I graduated from Seattle Central with an AS transfer degree, and I spoke at my graduation. Then I was accepted to the University of Washington, where I completed a senior thesis titled Conjugate Classes of Matrices over Finite Fields. And if you want to know what that means, we could talk about that over biscottis. Last spring, I earned my BS in mathematics with honors. And currently, I'm a master's student in the University of Washington's Department of Mathematics. I have a position in the department as a teaching assistant. Literally, as we speak, my students are taking a test, sweating over a test, while I sweat over giving this presentation to you. You know, life at UW has been amazing. But underneath all of this amazement, I know I have a great responsibility to be the best that I can be. If you don't know, just a few blocks from UW sits a homeless youth shelter. I stayed there my first night on the streets. So when I see a homeless person on the streets, I'm reminded of the phrase, "There but for the grace of God, go I." Really, there is no secret to my success. I've just been putting one foot in front of the other. What I do know is that I've had people who believed in and loved me when I really needed it. The Washington State Opportunity Scholarship has been much more than just funding for college. Through the Opportunity Scholarship, I've gained mentors at Boeing. I've learned from my mentors at Boeing what it means to be professional and what kind of work mathematicians do in industry settings, which is important to me because it gives me confidence in the choice I made to pursue math. The Opportunity Scholarship team showed up at my research presentations. And when I had no idea what to do with networking, because I don't know what to do when I'm in groups of people and just get weird, they showed up and they took me under their wing and they showed me how to network. See, this organization recognizes that students need more than money. They need opportunity. So I would like to close with what grit means to me. To my surprise, I learned that grit is not the way that I talk, the way I walk, or the way I present myself. Grit is not bravado. For me, it's been much grittier to find my own voice, my own beliefs, and learn to respect yours. Grit is fostered by love and support. And if you think about it, that's exactly why we are here at this moment. We all believe that if we give our students the proper chance, they will succeed. That is what this scholarship is about, and that's what we're celebrating here today. In some sense, our belief in this scholarship and our support in this scholarship is just the extension of the idea that with the proper love and support, our students can become the leaders that we know that they are. Thank you for sharing this moment with me.